then selection. But especially noteworthy is the hypocrisy in society that claims to treat all men equally, but in practice does not. That in fact both those words will slavery existed. You have treated them as if they were things rather than persons. Obviously, the Federation successfully finds themselves in the same boat. Treated Android as a thing rather than a person, despite all declarations of how free and just and upright it is, based solely upon the nature of the being in question. The superficial fact of one's nature, a machine, is all that Reagan has addressed, and not the question of whether or not, as he has said, that to be a person is more than to be just the chemicals that compose the body, but the mind as well. This revelation is quite a bit of an obvious thing to us, again, looking back over 20+ years, and having experienced many other ones. This is an Asimov question in the book, which features a similar theory about the robot human freedom, and which offers the ruling, there is no right to deny freedom to an object the mind is advanced enough to grasp the concept into that of the state. But we need to keep in mind that through these subtle exchanges can sometimes make a difficult to find implications of the goes on around you. Technology is so rapidly hard to believe sometimes. South Korea will show this technological skill by building a robot city by 2013. And North Korea will show their skill by them blowing it up. But let that cascading nature cause technology before into the next step. Being a machine alone is not enough to property to be able to do more. He shows signs of charity and personal achievement and friendship. Those decisions about touching others help not only step forward as far as the machine goes. We were but I was drunk at the time. That is what they called me. And the basic games over whether or not they did acceptance. He could do two of these criteria. Something like that intelligence. And so the touch points down in the third, which is not measured by outsiders, is that which he does see data as property would make him a slave. That was more data to start with. The Federation is guilty of creating and perpetuating a slave race. In light of this, the moral means of data is autonomous use as non-property. And that's, there's a limit to it is that you can't just transfer order. And particularly when it shows that it doesn't get right over what happened, but rather the opposite. Is it not true? The hedge refused from while the rules narrow against them. Yes. Some options you could do and save them. But I'm not for them. Those things are follow-up. Obviously goes Bruce Miller. Well-spoken measure of a man is 9 out of 10. The good foundation for many other issues will see data and later the doctor, the front regarding the perception of artificial life.
A great sense of the goodness of the knowledge is still a part of that.
Die Hard in Space. There, that's out of the way so you can stop waiting for it. One thing you can say about this script, it's efficient. The story quickly and naturally establishes all the necessary elements without intro dumping. For instance, Well, the captain's log does the usual dump that sets up the situation, a routine docking to remove a buildup of baryons. Establishing that it's deadly comes up when Crusher confronts him about living specimens that couldn't survive either, and that exchange is there as part of the overall effort of the scene to show how leaving the Enterprise like this is difficult for Picard. Even with all the headaches that we see here, there's no denying that he would prefer to just keep going about his exploration of the galaxy with the finest ship in the fleet, crewed by the brightest and most dedicated beings in the Federation, who are always ready to share their insights.
It has been quite a day. Is it not?
Data has apparently decided to program himself for small talk, which no doubt takes away one of his most redeeming qualities. Picard suggests that he watch Commander Hutchinson at the party later that afternoon. He's a master of small talk and patron saint of boredom. Worf gets permission to skip out on that little shindig, leaving everyone else feeling pretty stupid that he was the one who thought of it before any of them did. Because let's face it, during his TNG days, Worf probably trimmed his toenails with his teeth. And with that, Picard grabs his toy Dr. Kit and reluctantly leaves the bridge. Actually, with probably more reluctance than we saw in Generations. The party is exactly the kind of picture of excitement you'd expect. In fact, what really sells it is the almost total lack of extras. There's the waitstaff, Hutchinson's senior subordinate, and our crew. In other words, nobody is here except those who have no possible way of getting out of it. Even the subordinate, who sees Hutchinson coming, abandons Riker rather than risk getting into a conversation with his boss. Yeah, the only one having fun is Brent Spiner, who gets to wander around the set making fun of him.
May I call you Beverly? Beverly, have you noticed that the mean temperature here on Arteria is slightly higher than normal for human comfort levels?
Since we're in the midst of trivia, you might have noticed the writer is Morgan Gendel, who wrote an episode that you might have heard of called The Inner Light. He's not one of the regular writers, having only done 4 episodes, but they have managed to go down pretty well with people. Back to the episode. While Hutchinson talks about everything that has ever happened to him, he happens to mention that there are trails for horses, and Picard, well, he needs a fraction of a second to decide that, to hell with this party, he's going horseback riding. We'll see more of Picard's love of horses next week, so we'll just forget about the bizarre saddle conversation and move on to the yippee-ki-yay bits. Picard's attachment to horses probably explains this as a substitute for the Enterprise in his mind. So, armed with a saddle, he's prepared to leave when he notices that a line has been cut, and then he gets a vision of the franchise's future. Picard responds by attacking the future, and, to demonstrate his love for irony, takes it out with a Vulcan nerve pinch of all things. You know, considering how often Tuvok has just hit people, I think Tim Russ has been on the receiving end of that almost as often as he's given it out. Oh, we'll get to the reason Picard can do that soon. This episode is going to require its own montage song if this keeps up. With the countdown to power shutdown running, Picard races against the clock and, this time, doesn't quite make it, leaving him stranded with the bad guys for the rest of the episode. The baryon sweep then begins, which may actually be a quantum baryon sweep, in that it only seems to move when you look at it. While it's on camera, it's moving fast enough to cover the whole ship in less time than it takes to hard-boil an egg. But as soon as you're not looking at it, it's barely moving, like the post office. At the party, Riker finally decides on a little social experiment by partnering Data up with Hutchinson to have them gab at each other for a while. Of course, you know it's only a matter of time until they head off to spread their joy to the rest of the partygoers, so Riker and Geordi decide there's no shame in taking cyanide capsules. Back on the Enterprise, Picard takes his prisoner to sickbay and tries to get him to talk, but he refuses, and while there we learn the phasers are inoperable because of that baryon sweep. Comm systems still work, though, because otherwise this wouldn't be any fun at all, so he takes one of the bad guy ones for himself, though he resists the action movie urge to taunt the bad guys with it. He just mostly uses it for recon, or, well, point out when they're about to do something dangerously stupid. Anyway, days of future past, Tuvok refuses to talk, so Picard threatens to kill him with the laser welder, but he says that Picard isn't the killer. Well, not exactly. Picard's not a laser welder kind of killer, so he opts for an off-button hyperspray and just leaves him to the baryon sweep. It's a quick death compared to the ones down below.
Non-stop. I have to admit it has a strange fascination. How long can people talk about nothing?
Geordi's visor picks up strange energy readings from a table, and quickly Orton and the waiter pull out guns, shooting Geordi and, without so much as a warning, fatally killing Hutchinson. Unfortunately, no jury's going to convict on that one. On the ship, we finally meet the leader of the insurgents, not to mention the ass that launched 1,000 ships. Our flunkies are differentiated from each other only by being different species, and this guy, whose trait is solely that he's a big wiener. As you can see, they're futzing with the warp core, and it turns out they're extracting the trilithium resin inside of it. That's the stuff that Cisco dumped on the Maquis and for the uniform to ruin their planet.